What if I told you there's a secret garden out there where you plant something once and it keeps feeding you year after year, season after season, without you ever buying seeds again? Sounds impossible? Well, stick around because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you think about vegetable gardening forever. Hey there, Green Thumbs. Welcome back to Serene Green Gardens. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found us. This is where we grow more while spending less, and today we're diving into something that's going to blow your mind. We're talking about vegetables that behave like fruit trees. Yes, you heard that right. Plant them once, and they'll reward you for years, maybe even decades. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back to the family. You already know we don't do ordinary here. Now, before we get into these incredible plants, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming on this channel. We're building a community of smart gardeners who refuse to waste money on things that don't work. All right, let's get growing. Here's the thing most gardeners don't realize until it's too late. Every single year, we're out there spending money on seeds, seedlings, and starter plants. We're replanting the same vegetables over and over again, watching our wallets get thinner while our gardens stay exactly the same size. And for what? Tomatoes that last one season? Lettuce that bolts the moment summer hits? There's gotta be a better way, and I'm here to tell you there absolutely is. The garden industry wants you to keep buying, but what if you could break free from that cycle? What if your garden could become a self-sustaining food source that requires less work, less money, and gives you more food than you ever imagined? That's exactly what perennial vegetables do. These are the plants that laugh in the face of winter, come back stronger every spring, and keep producing food while you're barely lifting a finger. And no, I'm not talking about some exotic, hard-to-find plants. Most of these are probably already familiar to you, but nobody ever told you they could grow this way. So let's jump into these 20 absolute champions of the vegetable world. I'm going to share not just what they are, but exactly how to grow them, where to plant them, and the insider tips that'll make sure they thrive in your garden for years to come. Vegetable number 1, asparagus. And this is the poster child for perennial vegetables. Plant asparagus crowns once, and you're looking at 15 to 20 years of harvests. Some beds have been known to produce for 30 years. Now here's the catch that most people don't tell you. You need patience. The first year, you don't harvest anything. Year 2, maybe a light harvest. But year 3, that's when the magic happens. Plant them in a sunny spot with well-draining soil. Dig your trenches about 6 to 8 inches deep and space those crowns about 18 inches apart. The secret most gardeners miss is this. Asparagus is a heavy feeder. Top dress with compost every spring, and those spears will shoot up like they're on a mission. Male plants produce more spears than female plants. So if you want maximum yield, look for all male varieties like Jersey Knight or Jersey Supreme. Vegetable number 2, artichokes. These beauties are perennials in warmer climates, zone 7 and up, but even if you're in a colder area, you can grow them as annuals and still get a decent harvest. Here's what makes artichokes special. They're not just food, they're absolutely stunning in the garden. We're talking silvery green foliage that looks like something from a designer's dream. Plant them in full sun, give them plenty of space because these babies can spread 4 to 6 feet wide and they need rich, well-composted soil. Water consistently, but don't drown them. The trick with artichokes is harvesting at the right time. Cut them when the buds are tight and firm before they start to open. Wait too long and you'll get a beautiful purple flower, but a tough, inedible choke. Stick to those beautiful ruby red stalks. Now we're just getting started, and number 7 on this list is something you probably have in your kitchen right now, but you've never thought about growing it as a perennial. Keep watching. Vegetable number 4, horseradish. Speaking of roots, horseradish is a plant that borders on aggressive. Plant it once and good luck getting rid of it. But that's actually a good thing because it means endless fresh horseradish for your recipes. This perennial thrives in zones 3 through 9, which covers most of the country. Plant root cuttings in spring, in full sun to partial shade. The secret with horseradish is containment. Unless you want it taking over your entire garden, plant it in a large container sunk into the ground or use root barriers. Harvest the roots in fall after a frost, which actually improves the flavor. Dig up what you need, leave some roots in the ground, and they'll regrow next year. It's the gift that keeps on giving, whether you want it to or not. Vegetable number 5, walking onions. Walking onions, also called Egyptian onions or tree onions, are one of the weirdest and most wonderful perennials you'll ever grow. Instead of flowers, they produce tiny onion bulbs at the top of their stalks. These bulbs get heavy, the stalk bends over, the bulbs touch the ground, and boom, they root and start growing new plants. That's why they're called walking onions. They literally walk across your garden. You can harvest the small bulbs at the top for pickling, the green stalks like scallions, or dig up the main bulb underground. Plant them in fall or early spring, in full sun, and just let them do their thing. They're cold hardy, pest resistant, and honestly, they practically grow themselves. If you want a truly self-sufficient onion patch, this is your answer. Vegetable number 8, lovage. Lovage is the unsung hero of the perennial vegetable world. It tastes like celery intensified, and you can use every part of the plant: leaves, stems, seeds, and roots. This plant grows tall, sometimes up to 6 feet, and comes back year after year without any fuss. Plant lovage in rich, moist soil in full sun to partial shade. It likes consistent moisture, so mulch around the base to keep those roots happy. The leaves are fantastic in soups, stews, and salads. The stems can be used like celery. The seeds add a unique flavor to bread and pickling brines, and the roots can be harvested and used in herbal preparations. One plant is usually enough for a family because a little lovage goes a long way. Vegetable number 7, sorrel. Here's that familiar one I mentioned earlier, sorrel. You might know it as that lemony, tangy green that shows up in fancy restaurants. But did you know it's a perennial that comes back every year? French sorrel and garden sorrel are both perennials that thrive in zones 3 through 9. Plant sorrel in spring or fall, in full sun to partial shade. It prefers slightly acidic soil and consistent moisture. The leaves are best harvested young because they get more bitter as they age. Use them in salads, sauces, soups, or anywhere you want a bright, citrusy punch without actual citrus. Remove the flower stalks as they appear to keep the plant focused on producing leaves. Divide the clumps every few years to keep them vigorous. Alright, we're halfway through this list, and if you're loving what you're hearing, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button right now. It tells YouTube that this content matters, and it helps other gardeners just like you find this video. And drop a comment below telling me which of these perennials you're most excited to try. I read every single comment, and I love hearing from you. Vegetable number 8, globe artichoke. Wait, didn't we already cover artichokes? Yes, but globe artichokes deserve their own spotlight because of how differently they can be grown depending on your climate. In warmer zones, they're true perennials. In colder areas, gardeners often treat them as annuals. But here's a hack. If you're in Zone 6 or borderline Zone 7, you can overwinter them with heavy mulching. Cut the plants back after the first hard frost, mound up soil around the base, and cover with a thick layer of straw or leaves. Come spring, pull back the mulch, and there's a good chance your artichokes survived. Even if only half make it, you've just saved yourself the cost and effort of replanting. Vegetable number 9, radicchio. Radicchio is typically grown as an annual, but certain varieties, especially the heirloom types, are perennials in zones 5 through 9. This bitter, beautiful leafy green adds color and flavor to salads and grilled dishes. Plant radicchio in rich, well-draining soil in full sun. Keep it consistently watered and harvest the heads when they're firm and vibrant. After harvesting, leave the root in the ground, and in many cases it'll regrow and produce another head. Some gardeners get 2 to 3 harvests from a single plant before winter sets in. The cold actually improves the flavor, making it sweeter and less bitter.
Vegetable number 10, sea kale. Sea kale is a stunning, underrated perennial that's been grown in European gardens for centuries. It's both ornamental and edible, with thick blue-green leaves and clusters of white flowers. The young shoots are what you're after, and they taste similar to asparagus or broccoli. Plant sea kale in sandy, well-draining soil in full sun. It's incredibly tolerant of salty conditions, which makes sense given its coastal origins. In late winter or early spring, you can force the shoots by covering the plant with a bucket or forcing pot. This blanches the shoots, making them tender and mild. Once established, sea kale is drought tolerant and requires almost no care. Vegetable number 11, Good King Henry. Good King Henry is an old-fashioned perennial that deserves a serious comeback. It's related to spinach and quinoa, and you can eat the leaves like spinach, the shoots like asparagus, and even the flower buds like broccoli. Talk about versatile. Plant it in rich, moist soil in full sun to partial shade. It spreads slowly through underground rhizomes, so give it space, or plant it where you don't mind it expanding. The leaves have a slightly earthy mineral flavor. Blanch the young shoots for the best flavor, similar to how you'd treat asparagus. This plant has been feeding people in Europe for hundreds of years, and it's time North American gardeners rediscovered it.
Vegetable number 12 is the Jerusalem artichoke. Jerusalem artichokes, also called sunchokes, are perennials that produce edible tubers underground. They're related to sunflowers, and the plants grow tall with bright yellow flowers. The tubers taste nutty and slightly sweet, similar to water chestnuts. Here's the warning. These plants spread aggressively. If you don't want them taking over, plant them in containers or dedicated beds with barriers. They grow in almost any soil, tolerate drought, and require zero fertilizer. Harvest the tubers in fall after the first frost, which converts their starches to sugars and improves the flavor. Leave some tubers in the ground and they'll regrow next year. One planting can feed you indefinitely. Vegetable number 13 is Caucasian spinach. Caucasian spinach, also called hablitzia, is a perennial climbing green that's gaining popularity among adventurous gardeners. It's one of the first greens to emerge in spring, often poking through snow, and the leaves taste like a cross between spinach and asparagus. Planted at the base of a trellis or fence in partial shade with rich, moist soil. It climbs up to 10 feet, producing edible leaves and shoots all spring and early summer. Once hot weather hits, it goes dormant, then comes back the following spring. It's perfect for shady spots where most vegetables struggle. We're getting close to the end, but number 17 is a vegetable you've definitely eaten, but probably never considered growing as a perennial. Stay with me.
Vegetable number 14, Turkish rocket. Turkish rocket, also called bunias, is a European perennial that's starting to catch on in North America. The leaves taste like arugula with a bit more bite, and the young flower shoots can be cooked like broccoli rabe. Plant Turkish rocket in well-draining soil in full sun to partial shade. It's incredibly tough, tolerating poor soil and dry conditions. The leaves are best harvested in spring and fall when they're tender. In summer, it sends up tall flower stalks, and while the leaves become tougher, those flower shoots are delicious steamed or sautéed. Cut it back after flowering, and it'll produce a fresh flush of tender leaves in fall. Vegetable number 16, ostrich fern. Ostrich fern produces fiddleheads, those tightly coiled young fronds that are considered a delicacy. This is a true perennial that thrives in shady, moist areas where most vegetables fail. Plant ostrich fern in rich, consistently moist soil in partial to full shade. They spread through underground runners, creating beautiful, lush colonies. Harvest the fiddleheads in early spring when they're still tightly coiled before they unfurl. Only harvest a few fronds from each plant to keep it healthy. Fiddleheads have a unique flavor, similar to asparagus crossed with green beans. Always cook them thoroughly before eating. Vegetable number 17, watercress. Watercress is a perennial aquatic green that's packed with vitamins and has a peppery kick. If you have a stream, pond, or even a consistently moist spot in your garden, you can grow this powerhouse green year after year. Plant watercress in shallow water or boggy soil in partial shade. It roots at the nodes along its stems, spreading to form thick mats. Harvest by snipping stems above the waterline, and they'll regrow continuously. Even without a water feature, you can grow watercress in containers with drainage holes placed in trays of water. Change the water regularly to keep it fresh.
Vegetable number 17, leeks, perennial varieties. Here's that familiar vegetable I mentioned. While most leeks are grown as annuals, perennial leek varieties like Babington's leek or wild leeks, ramps, come back year after year. These are wild relatives of the common leek, and they're incredibly hardy. Babington's leek produces bulbils at the top of the flower stalk, similar to walking onions. Plant these bulbils and they'll grow into new plants. Wild leeks, or ramps, are native to North American forests and are prized for their strong garlic onion flavor. Plant them in shady, woodland-like conditions with rich, moist soil. They spread slowly and, once established, provide harvests every spring. Vegetable number 18, Daubenton's kale. Daubenton's kale is a non-flowering perennial kale that's virtually unknown in most North American gardens, but it's a staple in parts of Europe. This kale doesn't go to seed, which means the leaves stay tender and productive year-round. Plant it in full sun to partial shade in rich soil. Because it doesn't flower, you propagate it through cuttings. Just snip a stem, stick it in soil, and it roots readily. The leaves have a mild, sweet kale flavor without the bitterness of some varieties. In mild climates, you can harvest year-round. In colder zones, it dies back in winter, but regrows from the base in spring. Vegetable number 19, chives. Chives are so common that people forget they're perennials. Both regular chives and garlic chives come back every year, spreading into larger clumps. They're one of the easiest perennials to grow, thriving in almost any conditions. Plant chives in full sun to partial shade in well-draining soil. They tolerate poor soil, drought, and cold. The leaves, flowers, and even the bulbs are edible. Snip leaves regularly to encourage fresh growth. Divide clumps every few years to keep them vigorous. Garlic chives have a mild garlic flavor and flat leaves, while regular chives have a mild onion flavor and tubular leaves. Both are incredible additions to any garden. Vegetable number 20, Cardoon. Last but absolutely not least, Cardoon. This is the cousin of the artichoke, and it's grown for its thick, celery-like stalks rather than the flower buds. It's a massive architectural plant that's stunning in the garden and delicious on the plate. Plant Cardoon in full sun in rich, well-draining soil. Space plants at least 4 feet apart because they get enormous. In late summer or fall, you blanch the stalks by wrapping them in newspaper or cardboard for a few weeks. This makes them tender and reduces bitterness. The stalks are traditionally used in Mediterranean cuisine, braised, baked, or fried. In mild climates, Cardoon is a long-lived perennial. In colder zones, treat it as an annual or provide heavy winter protection. So there you have it, 20 vegetables that you plant once and harvest for years. Imagine walking into your garden 5 years from now and picking asparagus, rhubarb, artichokes, and perennial leeks, all from plants you put in the ground just one time. No more annual seed buying, no more starting over from scratch every spring, just established, productive plants that reward your initial effort with years of abundance. This is how you build a garden that works for you, instead of you working endlessly for it. This is how you grow more food while spending less money, less time, and less energy. This is the difference between gardening the hard way and gardening the smart way. Now, here's what I want you to do. First, if you haven't already subscribed to Serene Green Gardens, hit that button right now. We're building a community of gardeners who refuse to settle for ordinary, and I want you to be part of it. Second, turn on notifications so you never miss a video. We've got so much more coming your way. Third, and this is important, drop a comment below. Tell me which of these 20 perennials you're going to try first. Are you going all in on asparagus? Are you intrigued by those walking onions? Maybe you're ready to let Jerusalem artichokes take over a corner of your yard. Whatever it is, share it with the community. Your experience might inspire someone else. And if you found this video helpful, share it with a fellow gardener. Let's spread the word that there's a better, smarter way to grow food. Thanks for hanging out with me today at Serene Green Gardens, where we grow smarter, not harder. Until next time, keep your hands dirty, your garden growing,